Tonight, thousands of teachers from across the state are preparing to descend on the Capitol.
This is about the future of Oklahoma.
We'll introduce you to Green Country teachers getting ready to march in OKC, what they say they need from lawmakers.
We need them to be willing to make sacrifices because they ask us to make sacrifices every year.
After years of budget cuts and broken promises, why many educators say a raise isn't enough.
Just a teacher raise will not fix the problem.
We have a very long way to go.
Oklahoma students have been cheated for 10 years.
It is crucial that we fund education.
The children have done without. The districts have done without.
Oklahoma kids deserve the same as every other kid.
We want them to continue to feel the pressure, but we're not done.
We are just getting started.
We have just begun to fight.
On the scene, on the story, News on 6 starts now.
Now at 5:30, we have extensive coverage of tomorrow's school shutdown, what you need to know about tomorrow's walkout. And right now, teachers across Green Country are preparing to walk out of class to protest what they call Oklahoma's education funding crisis. They head to the Capitol tomorrow and begin picketing at 9 a.m. That rally will last through at least 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Organizers are expecting as many as 30,000 teachers to demonstrate. And with the teacher walkout in less than 24 hours, many working parents are trying to figure out what they will do for childcare during the duration of the shutdown. News on 6's Tristan Land is live on the story with how one community development center is stepping in to help. Tristan?
Aaron, while many parents support the teacher's decision to walk out, some are concerned about where their children will be when the school doors are closed. This community development center says they will do what they can to step in and help. Starting tomorrow, Brew Inc. International Academy will offer free childcare, educational activities, and meals for children who will be affected by the walkout. Workers here tell me they have been preparing all week for this. Volunteers say many centers around the area are at their capacity, so they are ready to step in where the help is needed. The director says they are prepared to help about 200 students, but they are in need of canned food donations and volunteers.
Monday, we're going to be prepared. It's just all about love. I'm going to speak from the heart, reach the heart. It is about love. We are going to meet the need. Right now, food is the most important thing for us, so we are going to provide the services. We are going to work with these parents.
The facility will be open from 6 a.m. to midnight, Monday through Saturday. The director tells me they will be offering their free services until May 1st. Live on the scene on the story in Tulsa, Tristan Land, News on 6.
And as teachers get ready to head to the Capitol, some are apprehensive about the response from lawmakers. Kirsten McCullough is heading into her third year teaching and says she has mixed feelings about the raises approved last week.
I'm grateful, but I really wish it was going towards my kids instead. I'm nervous because I feel like legislators aren't going to take us seriously, and it is a very serious issue that needs to be taken care of.
And coming up tonight at 9 and 10, we'll hear more on why McCullough says this is just the beginning of what needs to be done for education here in Oklahoma. And many of the teachers flocking to the Capitol tomorrow didn't look to reservations for lodging, but instead checked social media. While some hotel chains offer discounts to Oklahoma Education Association members, the OEA president says many teachers are relying on their peers for a place to stay.
This is an amazing thing about social media. They connect those two groups so that those that are traveling don't have the additional cost of lodging.
Many educators say teacher housing one another shows the unity of this movement across Oklahoma. Other teachers say they're driving up in the morning, camping, or even being bused by their own districts. Later in this newscast, the unique way one Green Country teacher plans to get to the Capitol. And our coverage continues right now over on our free News on 6 app. You can find a complete list of schools that will be closed, as well as resources for families during the walkout.
Across eastern Oklahoma, we are talking about very cold air, and for the folks going down to the walkout in the Oklahoma City area tomorrow, here's that forecast. Tomorrow dipping below freezing initially, so it will be a cold start. Roads should be okay for the most part, but once again, this could be a bit of an issue for just bundling up. Now, as we look at Viper 3D, what you see imposed there is a freeze advisory, also a winter weather advisory just issued for some light freezing drizzle, a few slick overpasses. You can see that general trend for light drizzle pushing through the area. So once again, a freeze warning That means we'll be at or below freezing until possibly 10 o'clock tomorrow morning in the counties in blue, including Tulsa. And that freezing line moving right into Tulsa, where we're sitting at that freezing mark, below freezing to the northeast, a little milder to the south. And the evening forecast calls for temperatures right around that freezing mark. We'll be tracking the potential for a little bit of a slick spot or two tonight, and then a forecast that does not look like April coming up.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Police are looking for a man they say robbed a Tulsa Come and Go this morning. Police say a man walked in with a gun demanding cash and cigarettes at the store near East 51st Street. Officers tell us during the robbery he threatened to kill the clerk. Police say the man ended up leaving the store and running toward the Cobblestone Apartments. If you have any information about this crime, call police. And now an update to breaking news we first brought you last night. We're learning more about the investigation into 2 motorcycle crashes on the northeast corner of the IDL. The Oklahoma Highway Patrol says 43-year-old Justin Chitwood of Avant veered off the road and struck a barrier wall. He was thrown from his bike. Troopers say 52-year-old David Brackett of Skiatook also hit the wall in a separate motorcycle. Both riders were taken to the hospital with some very serious injuries. Investigators say neither were wearing a helmet. And tonight we're learning more about the man shot and killed by a Guthrie police officer last night. We're told the man had an extensive criminal history. Investigators tell us an officer spotted Jason Allen Burt attacking a woman outside of a home with a large machete or knife. Police say Burt refused to drop the weapon, and that's when the officer opened fire. Burt had previously been charged with burglary, domestic assault and battery, and drunk driving. And we have a traffic alert for you. A bridge project will begin tomorrow near the Broken Arrow Expressway over Sheridan. ODOT will remove part of the bridge's concrete deck and overlay it with some more concrete. Traffic on the bridge will shift to 2 narrow lanes. ODOT says drivers should expect some delays. Construction is expected to wrap up in late July. And President Trump unleashed a flurry of tweets this Easter Sunday on DACA and Mexico. Laura Podesta is on the story and tells us the statements came after an unverified report that hundreds of Central American immigrants were coming by the busload into the U.S. illegally.
Before heading into church this Easter Sunday, President Trump tweeted that the immigration situation is getting more dangerous and caravans are coming. He offered no information to back up his claims, but said the U.S. needs help from Mexico, or else he'd cut the country out of NAFTA, the trade agreement signed by the U.S., Canada, and Mexico.
Mexico has got to help us at the border. If they're not going to help us at the border, it's a very sad thing between 2 countries.
The president also threatened DACA, which stands for Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. It allows children of immigrants who entered the U.S. illegally to apply to stay and work. On Twitter, the president wrote, "Republicans must go to nuclear option to pass tough laws now. No more DACA deal." Outside the church, he added,
"A lot of people are coming in because they want to take advantage of DACA. And we're going to have to really see. They had a great chance. The Democrats blew it."
Advocates for DACA, like Ralph Arianes, claim the majority of the country supports the program.
Over 85% of Americans want a permanent solution for DACA students.
It's unclear why the president chose Easter Sunday to talk about immigration policy. Some believe it's because Congress agreed to spend only $1.6 billion on a border wall.
It's going to be a political issue come this fall, and I think he's sort of trying to set the groundwork that he wants to move forward as hard as he can on tougher immigration.
Midterm elections are approaching, and the border wall was one of Mr. Trump's biggest campaign promises. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
And it's a cold end to the weekend on our Osage Casino Skycam network, but a warm-up is on the way. Mike tells us how warm it will get tomorrow.
Tomorrow, some teachers will meet here at Booker T and ride a bus to the Capitol, but one teacher won't be getting on. He's riding his bike instead. That story coming up.
Tomorrow morning, hundreds of teachers will leave Green Country and head to the Capitol to walk out. Right now, some are actually walking to Oklahoma City, and at least one man plans to get there on 2 wheels. News on 6's Amy Slanchik is live on the story for us with the latest. Amy?
Aaron, a teacher here at Booker T, Washington, says when he rides his bike to work, it's about a 10-mile trip. Tomorrow, though, he'll go on a 116-mile trip to the Capitol. It'll be the longest bike ride Matthew Williams has ever been on.
People are probably thinking I'm nuts.
To fight a problem he says has been going on too long.
But I think we need a little bit of that right now. We need bold decisions and bold moves, and we need a little bit of crazy.
Matthew teaches AP U.S. History and AP Human Geography to sophomores, juniors, and seniors at Booker T.
Each year, we have to decide which department gets new textbooks and which one doesn't.
How much longer?
It's his students who he'll be fighting for.
I love my kids because they astound me.
Not more money for himself.
Just a teacher raise will not fix the problem.
The trip to the Capitol on his bike will take about 6 or 7 hours along Route 66.
Might be going with some friends. It's kind of up in the air right now. I might be doing this solo. We're not sure yet.
And the reason he's riding isn't totally crazy.
There were buses going. They only had about 50 seats in each bus, and they were filling up quickly. And I knew I had the ability to ride down to Oklahoma City should I choose to be bold enough to do it, and that could give a seat to somebody else.
And once Matthew pedals his way there, he's ready to stick around for more than just a few hours.
I'm expecting and prepared to be there all week. I don't think a day is going to fix this.
Teachers who are riding together on a bus will leave here at Booker T at 7 a.m. Matthew, though, will have a head start, leaving from downtown at 6 o'clock. To follow his trip on social media, just visit our News on 6 app. Reporting live on the scene on the story in Tulsa, Amy Slanchik, News on 6.
Our comprehensive coverage of the teacher walkout continues tomorrow beginning at 4:30 on 6 in the morning. We'll have live reports from throughout Green Country and the Capitol all day. And don't miss our live hour-long special, Educate Oklahoma, at 7 p.m.
Now, the Oklahoma weather expert, Mike Grogan.
Here on this Easter Sunday, you've got to be wondering, it does not feel like Easter, so how cold is it? Well, it's not the coldest on record. In fact, if we're just comparing Easter high temperatures, we have 2 more dates that were colder. Granted, they were earlier in the year, back in March, but 1940, the high was only 33 degrees. Today's high 46, but that was set at midnight. Today has been spent in the mid to lower 30s for the most part. So very cold air. You compare it to Christmas, and well, our afternoon temperature has actually been colder today than it was back on our most recent Christmas day. So pretty remarkable how cold it is for this first day of April, and no fool's joke for us. Viper 3D also shows rainfall, or at least light drizzle in the mix. This is all in the form of drizzle or maybe some mist, enough to use the windshield wiper and enough to cause a few concerns over elevated surfaces because temperatures along and north of I-44 are at or below freezing. Therefore, the ground temperatures being much warmer than that are not a concern, but elevated surfaces like a bridge could become slick this evening. We're going to notice a drying trend across areas to the north. Fortunately, to the south, the drizzle and the light showers are going to continue from Tahlequah to Muskogee. Still ongoing in the metro area, though it's very light at this point in time, and measurable rainfall really not anticipated for a while. But because of this, we are anticipating to have maybe a few slick spots or at least a glaze forming on some elevated surfaces. A travel advisory has just been hoisted in the past half hour for northeastern Oklahoma because of this threat. So if you're traveling, maybe home from grandma's house this afternoon, just be aware this could be at least a slight impediment on a few travelers, mainly to the north of Tulsa, but even the metro area, be aware. Now tonight there is still a chance of drizzle, though the chances become higher to southeast Oklahoma as some slightly drier air works its way in tonight. So just a limited chance and kind of a small window for some freezing drizzle, but this does go until tomorrow morning as well for that potential as temperatures remain at or below freezing for most of the night tonight. So looking at those temperatures right now, you're going to notice they are dropping below freezing in parts of northeastern Oklahoma, especially across areas north of Tulsa. That zone will include areas to the north where there could be a few bits of ice. Once again, our ice computer model showing just a few spots might end up with a couple hundredths of an inch. So this is not an ice storm. This is not a major deal, but pretty remarkable to be talking about this here in early April. So once again, those temperatures to the north, here we are below freezing. Tolala at 29, our cold spot right at 30. Nowata, Coffeyville, Independence, Copan, 4 Acre, 31, Pawhuska. Further east, we're right at that freezing mark in Grove. All these spots, once again, those bridges or overpasses could get a little slick. 32 in Broken Arrow, Tulsa 33 back in Pawnee. To the south, though, we are mostly above freezing here, except for the Creek County area. The rest of us should be remaining at these temperatures for most of the night. Notice southeastern Oklahoma quite balmy in comparison. Cloudy skies, light drizzle in Tulsa. We're right at that 32 degrees, but you know what? It feels even colder when you factor in a gusty north wind that makes the wind chill feel like the low 20s. Speaking of which, let's talk about where they go from here. They will be dropping into the 20s all night and into the morning hours, so getting up early tomorrow, maybe heading to the walkout. Once again, make sure you have that heavy winter coat on hand. It'll be cold through the day tomorrow, and in fact, as we look at rain chances through the night, it will be likely cloudy with some more showers working their way back in, but mostly after we're above freezing tomorrow, so just some spotty showers to contend with. The forecast looks like this tonight, though. By 9 o'clock, we're dropping off to 32, so we're about the same. We're by morning down to 30, wind chills in the 20s, and moving on into the upper 40s to near 50 by afternoon. Early morning showers on Tuesday should give way to a little bit of sunshine. A brief warm up on Thursday. Notice the hard freeze on Wednesday morning, and then cool, unsettled weather into next weekend. Now into sports with Harold Kuntz.
This is News on 6 Sports with Harold Kuntz.
Okay, let's check in on an update on the Thunder in action in New Orleans, and it has not gone well for the Thunder. One of the worst halves played in the history of the franchise, 78-12 Pelicans at the half, and even worse, Russell Westbrook has gone out of the game with an ankle injury. If you weren't able to figure it out by now. April Fools. All right, the real situation. If the Thunder lose to the Pelicans, they drop to 8th. Win, they could jump as high as 4th. Here's the real score, 35-33 Thunder game in the second quarter. It's not spring-like weather outside, so let's talk spring football, shall we? OSU has a new defensive coordinator in town, and Jim Knowles. He came from Duke, and Mike Gundy hopes this Ivy League grad is a smart choice.
We were looking for a certain quality, and he kind of met the criteria. I did not have a relationship with him. I scanned the internet and looked for coaches who had had success at schools that maybe not had the same talent as other schools. He's a Cornell grad. He's a head coach in the Ivy League. He's been a Wall Street guy, very intelligent. I have found that smart people generally become very good coaches.
OU nearly halfway through spring practice, 7 down, 7 to go. Plus the spring game on April 14th. Another change, Baker Mayfield out, of course. Kyler Murray probably in at quarterback. Plus 4 other starters gone for the Sooners offense. However, at least so far in spring ball, the Sooners defense has been impressed with what it's seen from the O.
Rodney Anderson, he's dominant force over there. Kyler Murray, he's quick. AK, quick as well, fast, has a great arm, both of them actually.
Our backs are good and our receivers are pretty good. I know that. So, and our line's pretty good. So, you know, don't look a whole lot different than what we saw before.
We've got Trae Young on the Blitz tonight. A preview of our sit down with him next. Special guest on the Oklahoma Forward Sports Blitz, as we'll have an interview with now former Oklahoma Sooner Trae Young. He was declared he was going pro 10 days ago. It was a no-brainer for the man considered to be a lottery pick. Young led college basketball in points and assists, but there's the end of the season struggles, at least to his standards, which some scouts have focused on as a reason why he may drop. No matter what, Young is confident in his abilities at the next level.
I expect to be the best player to come out this draft. I mean, that's just my mindset. I got to work. I know I'm not where I want to be at right now, so I gotta get better. But whichever team I'm blessed enough to play for, I'm gonna be happy, and I'm gonna put my best foot forward for that team.
Coming up tonight, more with Trae Young. Breakdown of the Thunder Pelicans game, spring football in Norman and Stillwater, and TU. Masters predictions 10:26. News on 6. Sister Jean and her Loyola Ramblers, the Cinderella story last night, but the Michigan Wolverines were too much. Mo Wagner owned the boards and points. Wolverines bounced Sister Jean out. How about Bill Self's Kansas team had aspirations? Aaron, you want to read this? Getting back to the championship, but Villanova had other ideas. They were scorching hot from three-point land.
We're just confident in each other, and I think that's what makes us pretty good, is us being together on both ends of the floor.
A great example of how the game should be played, just like Loyola was. So we got our challenges, and we're going to do everything we can to meet that challenge.
3 seed Michigan, 1 seed Villanova TBS game tomorrow night. It's not Kansas. I'm sorry, Aaron.
It's not. It's not. But oh well.
Some
maybe
people had your back on
they
Facebook.
did.
They attacked me. But I
Oh,
was
did
like,
they?
Oh, yeah, they came at me.
Ooh, well, honey.
They're,
I mean,
they're big fans of you, not me.
all right. Well, we're not so big fans of the weather today.
No, it is
Ugh.
remarkably cold for Easter, and a winter weather advisory, a travel advisory tonight. So be aware of a few slick bridges and overpasses. More showers tomorrow, but we're above freezing and then slowly warming all the way to 66 by Thursday. There's some good news in that forecast.
All right, holding out for that.
Yeah.
And hold out for our late newscast. We have more coverage of the teacher walkout coming up.